This is my June reading wrap up. We're a little bit into the month of July, and I read 13 books in the month of June, which is by far the most that I've read this year, in a month. By far. I will be rating them and letting you know if I recommend them with a yes, no, or maybe. The first book I finished this month was Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. About a month or two ago, I can't remember exactly, I read Things We Never Got Over, so I was a little late to continuing the series, but I did end up enjoying it, and I rated it 4 stars. If you liked the first book, I would say this is a yes. The second book I finished this month was Bookshops and Bone Dust. I rated this a 3.75, and I would say it's probably a maybe because I think it really depends what you're in the mood for. When I read it personally, I don't think I was in the mood for like a cozy fantasy, so I had a hard time getting into it at points. But I think it was really well written, and I think it has the potential to be a really good book for some people. The next 2 books I read in June were because I decided to dive into Stephanie Garber's universe, and I read Caraval and Legendary. I rated Caraval a 4.5, and I rated Legendary a 4. I ended up enjoying Caraval more than Legendary. I don't know, I didn't feel very connected to Donatella throughout Legendary, but I really felt connected to, Scarlet. Violet. But for Caraval, I did actually feel really connected to Scarlet and her relationship. I don't know, being with Legend just didn't seem like it was ever going to happen in Legendary, so I think that's kind of what drove me away from it, but I would say yes to both. The next book I read in the month of June was Haunting Adeline. This one I devoured. I actually really enjoyed it. I kept wanting to not put it down. I would read it on my breaks at work and found myself so frustrated that I had to stop reading. I ended up giving this one a 4.25. If you can handle darker themes in a dark romance, this is a definite yes. The next book I read in the month of June was I finished off the Caraval trilogy with Finale, and I rated this one 5 stars. I really loved being able to see both Donatella and Scarlet in the same book, getting both of their perspectives. We got to see a little bit more of like who they are and who they've become. And I thought it was just a really solid ending to the trilogy, and it's a definite yes. The next few books I read in the month of June were the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I wanted to continue on after I finished the Caraval trilogy. And for Once Upon a Broken Heart, I rated that one 4 stars. I think it's a yes, just because although it wasn't my favorite in the trilogy, it sets up for the next 2 books, which were amazing. I just found myself having a hard time getting into it and connecting with the characters in the first one, but then The Ballad of Never After, 5 stars. 5 stars right here. I paced around my apartment for like 20 minutes after I finished reading this book. I could not. I was so emotionally broken. It was chef's kiss. Amazing. I loved it. 10 out of 10. Honestly, 10 stars. The next one, Curse for True Love, also 5 stars. I don't know if I quite was as blown away as The Ballad of Never After, so like maybe like 7 stars. But also a 5, yes to the whole trilogy. Read it. The next 3 books I read in the month of June, and kind of what closed me off for the month of June, other than an audiobook that I listened to, was the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I have been eagerly waiting to read the Grishaverse again, and I did. And Shadow and Bone, I rated 4.5 stars. I think it's a yes. I really liked Alina as a main character. I thought she was strong. I loved the way that the magic system was portrayed. I thought it was a good book. The next one, Siege and Storm, I rated this one a 4. I didn't love it. It felt like a filler book. Like it felt like a book that was leading me into Ruin and Rising. It just wasn't my favorite. I didn't feel like a lot happened. Felt like it set up for a lot. A lot of the action happened in the first few chapters, and then there was just kind of a lot of waiting. But I think I upped the rating to a 4 because I loved Nikolai. I think Nikolai is a great character. I'm so excited to read King of Scars, because that's actually the only book, duology in the Grishaverse that I have not read before. So he bumped it up. Nikolai is a great character. Next, Ruin and Rising. I rated this one a 4.5 as well. I enjoyed the book. I thought it was a really good ending to the trilogy. I loved that she ended up losing her powers and that her and Mal were able to run away and live a happy life. And I thought the end part, the end chapter, the epilogue, was a really good close. I loved seeing how all the characters were and kind of what they were doing and what was happening. And yeah, I highly recommend this trilogy. I think it's great. So it's a yes for all three, even though Siege and Storm is a little bit of a hard book to get through. The next book I read this month was only an audiobook. It was Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood. I saw it on Spotify. It popped up on my recommended, and I thought, why not? I think it's a maybe. If you really enjoy romance, I think it's good. I'm not a huge, just like, regular romance reader. I prefer a little bit more to my romance, like fantasy or dark romance. But I rated it a 3.75. It was good. I was able to put it on and do other things, and it was enjoyable. I don't have anything bad to say about it. Thank you for tuning in for my June reading wrap up. I was very happy with all the books that I got to read this month. They were a lot of books that I've been wanting to get into, and it was just a really good month of reading. I'm now reading the Six of Crows duology for the month of July, and I can't wait to come back for my July wrap up.